Straight to game 2. Manfield is already up by 1 game. So let's see what happens here.
One thing I absolutely adore about Seth is his ability to just play any deck. You know, his range is very, very wide. Some players like to play mid-range decks, some players like control decks. Seth, as he always says, he will play whatever he feels is the best deck. In this instance, he feels like it's mono red, and G2 Lava Runner is a great place to start.
It is, and you know, with Seth, you know, it looks like he's on the play here. You know, it's very important.
Hayne on the play because he's down.
My brain just broke for a second. I was
That's
like,
okay.
Seth's on the play. I'm like, no, that's the arrow, wrong way. And he literally just, as Hayne plays the second land. But you know, the fact that Seth, you know, he is playing mono red against a deck that, looking at Hayne's hand, kind of makes him feel like he's on the draw anyway, because all these spells cost 3, 4, and 5, whereas you know, Seth is able to get in the board 1, 2 right away, and now. You know, it's going to be a very time rivalry. The first play for Alexander Hayne, he's going to go ahead and just use the minus ability to bounce that runaway Steamkin, and crucially, you know, gets an extra card, just slows down Seth Manfield is the most important element of what this is doing.
Yeah, this ends up being actually a pretty nice start here for both players. Teferi is going to come down. It's going to bounce Runaway Steamkin. Runaway Steamkin is going to be replayed pre-combat. Now we might see Wizard's Lightning. We might see Light Up the Stage. We're going to see him finish off the Teferi. And then this might just be it for the turn. So Hallowed Fountain is actually a pretty crucial draw here. It's land number 4. However, Brian, it is not Black Source number 2.
Yeah, and that's really important for the ability to actually cast the Vraska's Contempt. There is a Seraph of the Scales that Hayne could have chosen to play here if he had chosen to take the damage. And Seraph of the Scales is, you know, a pretty decent way to try and slow down some of this aggression. You know, even if it does die, you end up getting the afterlife tokens. But you know, the choice for Hayne is to allow Seth to make his plays and hold up the Mortify to take out the Steamkin.
Mortify is going to take out the 2/2 Steamkin. The 1/1 Steamkin that was played pre-combat will still be hanging around. G2 Lava Runner should get a point of damage in here, and then we might see a Light Up the Stage post-combat. For those of you watching at home, you're probably very familiar with the mono red strategy. It's so very popular on Arena in both best of 1 and best of 3. It's still quite good in best of 3. And a card you don't see oftentimes in main deck best of 1 mono red is Lava Coil. Brian mentioned that Seraph of the Scales. Lava Coil might be targeting that very soon.
It's also pretty powerful against Enter the God Eternals. Enter the God Eternals is, you know, a very powerful card to swing the game in large part against aggressive decks because it creates that 4/4 army. And you know, if you get Enter the God Eternals on one of your creatures, you don't have a 4 damage removal spell like Lava Coil. It can just absolutely brick wall the ground.
Here is Seraph of the Scales right now. This is a card that can brick wall the ground. 4/3 flyer, can gain vigilance, can do so much. When it dies, afterlife, 2 spirit tokens, but that's when it dies, not when it gets exiled. So we might see Seth with a Wizard's Lightning here on the end step. It's only going to be 1 mana because of the G2 Lava Runner. And these are the kind of exchanges where on power level, Brian, Hayne's deck is more powerful. Look at all the rares and mythics in hand versus the commons and uncommons. But sometimes it's not always about power level.
Right, and most of what makes mono red powerful is efficiency. You get to get on the ground quickly. Your cards may not be pound for pound quite as impactful as those of your Esper opponent, but when you get to actually play all your cards, well, they have a handful of things they haven't been able to cast yet. It really ends up being a very big deal. And we see the Wizard's Lightning come in, 6 more damage from the creatures on the board, and that's going to put Hayne down to just 9 life with 2 Lightning Strike waiting in the hand.
Isolated Chapel's a huge draw. That's Black Source number 2. That land is untapped. It means he doesn't have to take damage to play it. And now we're going to see an Enter the God Eternals, though we could see an interesting exchange here. I'll let you talk about it.
So this is an interesting spot because there is the opportunity for Seth Manfield to activate his Runaway Steamkin to gain mana and Lightning Strike itself. So by doing that, he ends up removing the target for Enter the God Eternals. So none of the effects, because there are 2 targets. There's target player. So yeah, I actually was just thinking for a second.
Oh, I was thinking this was going to work, yeah. But I think Seth might think this is going to work.
I think he thinks it's going to work because I initially thought it was going to work, and then I realized it was a second target.
Now, hang on. Let's see how this all unfolds here.
Because there's a target player, so this... You don't gain the life is the thing.
Okay.
So by lightning striking it, you do still get the 4/4.
Gotcha.
And I was processing this kind of in real time because I haven't really thought about this before.
No, I was thinking this thing. I thought the lightning strike was going to blow him out completely,
right. No,
but
it was
2
not.
targets
So what
matter.
happens is because the Ender the God Eternals does not actually deal damage, you don't gain 4 life. So you actually exchange your lightning strike effectively for doing 1 more damage than the lightning strike would do to your opponent by preventing them from getting 4 life. You don't prevent them from actually getting the army though.
The 4/4 army that you did mention got killed by a top deck Lava Coil.
I do another Lava Coil.
Gia 2, Lava Runner got to come in for 2. So let's update the game here for you. You see Hayne with all of these cards in hand. We see Soren, Vengeful Bloodflord. He's considering casting Dovin's Veto, Vraska's Contempt, Mortify. Again, these cards are all incredibly powerful, but he can only really play one of them right now. So he's going to go with Soren. He'll tick it up, deals 1 damage to target creature or planeswalker, and going to gain a little bit of life. For Manfield, it's a Lightning Strike and a Mountain with a 2/2 Gia 2 Lava Runner on the battlefield. So things are starting to swing Hayne's way. This is a very important draw step here for Seth Manfield. To note, that Hallowed Fountain entered the battlefield untapped so that Hayne can keep up Dovin's Veto. Now we head back over to Seth. Mountain, not the best draw.
Yeah, that's not going to be a possibly game-ending draw for Seth Manfield here. The untapped Hallowed Fountain absolutely screams Dovin's Veto.
Yes.
There's definitely something up. So Manfield knows he can't just cast his Lightning Strike into possible counter magic. The Thought Erasure is a very interesting hit for Hayne. Going to go ahead and use the Soren to bring back the Hero of Precinct 1 first. So the minus ability will return that to play. Thought Erasure will both trigger the Hero of Precinct 1 and very likely make Manfield pull the trigger on this Lightning Strike.
And I like this here, how Hayne has sequenced this turn. Hero Precinct 1 coming first. Now play a multicolored spell to force action from your opponent with Thought Eraser. Seth will respond in kind with Lightning Strike. Then Hayne will respond with a Dovin's Veto, which we knew he was holding up from last turn with the untapped Hallowed Fountain. So now Hayne's going to get a couple of tokens. He'll get to surveil that Godless Shrine to the bottom. And now Seth's best draws...
Ooh, there's Lightning Strike, which isn't lethal.
Which isn't lethal, but some of his best draws here in Chandra and Experimental Frenzy, they're covered by the 2 cards in hand.
Right.
So basically, Hayne is doing a really nice job of saying, you know what, there's very few cards that can kill me in this spot, and your best draws actually aren't that good. Hayne, a great player. Seth, also great as well, but Hayne is doing a nice job of turning the corner in this game.
And crucially, Hayne does have the Soren Vengeful Bloodlord right now. So this block, his creatures only have lifelink on his own turn with the passive ability of Soren, so this block will not gain him life. And this is an interesting spot for Seth, too, because Seth, he will trade off that Gia 2 Lava Runner. He's to decide, do I want to Lightning Strike this Hero of Precinct 1 to prevent the possibility of additional minions coming down?
Well, now you're in a rock and a hard place because you want to Lightning Strike your opponent.
Right.
You want to get your opponent down to 1 and then top deck a burn spell to finish this game off. But if you leave that creature on the battlefield, all of a sudden Soren's going to have lifelink,
right.
And then you're gaining a little bit too much life. We already see the hand, which Seth doesn't know, of Vraska's Contempt and Mortify. So the Hall of Famer has got a very difficult decision to make with this card, the last card in his hand. He's going to hold it for now. A redundant copy of Soren, not so good. So if you're rooting for Seth, you're pretty happy to see that. We'll see where this turn starts here, however, for Alexander Hayne. He's going to start by attacking, and now will Seth pull the trigger on this Lightning Strike?
Well, so if Seth Lightning Strikes now, and say he Lightning Strikes the hero, then, he's in a similar position to the previous turn where, he could have just killed it on his own turn. But if he chose to, say, take the damage to the face, he couldn't even draw a 3-damage burn spell because of the +1 of Soren. If, that had gotten to connect, then Hayne could have +1 Soren and left himself in a position where he's not dead to any 2 3-damage burn spells because we go up to 7 life.
Yep.
So it's going to just bring back the Hero of Precinct 1 once again, and I think we might see, the second Soren come down.
I like this play a lot. It's going to make a token. You can plus it, bring yourself up to 5, and still, once again, you've got yourself pretty well covered against dying on this turn.
And we were talking during the overview of the match when we were discussing the deck lists, how Esper midrange has become much more powerful thanks to just there being more powerful multicolored cards. Well, Soren is certainly among them.
Yes, absolutely.
This game, maybe that was a Basilica Blood Hunt in the world where you were playing without War of the Spark, but this Soren has just done so much work at creating just such a complicated situation for Manfield to get out of. Frankly, Manfield absolutely needs to draw one of his card advantage generators like Experimental Frenzy or Chandra to have really any hope of getting back into this game against Soren.
Well, it's those 4-mana spells that are actually going to allow him to keep up. However, again, you see
Hero
the Mortify,
comes
you
back.
see the Vraska's Contempt. That's going to be the problem where if he draws one of these cards, the impact is just not going to be that great. And every burn spell that he draws, naturally, if you're a red player, you want to be sending those upstairs. But however, he's got to keep targeting these creatures. And that means that Soren is going to be able to keep getting them back. And now Seth Manfield is in a rock and a hard place. And Tyrant Soren is not going to make things any easier.
Yeah, and we just see the incredible synergy between Soren and Hero of Precinct 1. Not only does it give you just this incredible value from the hero itself, as well as the tokens that it generates by giving them all lifelink, so you're just getting out of range against the burn deck. But also, you just keep bringing Hero back.
Yep.
So Soren and Hero is sort of like this combination of army in a can, and that you just keep opening new cans whenever one runs out.
Sometimes you can get a little creative with Tyrant Scorn. It may not seem like the best draw step to the naked eye, but now you're going to see you're going to see Hayne bounce his Hero of Precinct 1, which will make a token. Then he gets to replay the Hero of Precinct 1, and then a little plus here with Soren. So a little bit of value there from the Tyrant Scorn. The draw step here for Seth is a Mountain, and that is probably going to wrap this one up. Isolated Chapel here for Alexander Hayne. The Canadian Crusher is going to activate this Soren, going to gain a little bit more life, and that's a great way to attack red. Don't forget, Hayne is a Pro Tour champion as well. There are two of them in this match. Manfield won Pro Tour Ixalan, and he's a world champion. Hayne, however, Pro Tour Avacyn restored champion with Miracles many moons ago. Goblin Chain Whirl are going to come down here for Manfield. He'll spin the wheel and kill a couple of these creatures, but to me, Brian, it's a little too late, as JoJo would say.
Yeah, if it weren't for the fact that there's Vraska's Contempt and Mortify on the hand, maybe that could stop the Hero of the Precinct 1 in its tracks, but we're just going to keep seeing the hero marching along and Soren keep ticking up. Soren does not have a ultimate ability, but 9 loyalty on that when it just keeps gaining life means it's not going to get off the board unless Hayne chooses to replace it or just decides to bring back even more creatures from his graveyard.
I would argue Soren's static ability against red is an ultimate.
Yeah, he just starts with his ultimate. Your creatures have lifelink. That's an ultimate in the matchup.
That's more than enough.
Touche, that's fair.
We take a look at power level versus power level here for our new viewers at home. Again, you take a look at all the powerful gold cards in hand here for Alexander Hayne that have been played over the course of this game. Multiple copies of Soren, Mortify, Tyrant Scorn all in hand. Seth is drawing cards like Fanatical Firebrand, which again are so good early and so bad late. Tyrant Scorn is going to use whatever mode you want.
And in the early turns, we were saying, well, the efficiency is what makes red powerful. Well, the power is what makes this Esper deck pretty powerful. This isn't a haymaker deck like the Ukins and Lilianas necessarily that we saw in the previous match, but just the Soren and Hero of Precinct 1 just giving so much of an advantage here to Hayne. Just this 1-2 punch has essentially soloed Manfield.
I think what's going to be fun as this format continues to develop, as Viashino Pyromancer is the draw and Seth is going to concede, is how this Esper mid-range deck is going to continue to develop and grow. It's obviously powerful. We do know that, and we will find out soon.